David and Bathsheba's story is one that has been intertwined with sin, power, love, and tragedy, as recorded in the Bible. The account, found in 2 Samuel chapters 11 and 12, shows the complexity of human desires and the consequences of actions taken in moments of weakness. Below is a narrative that aims to explore some of the emotional depth of these events, blending biblical history with an exploration of the motivations behind the actions of the key figures. The sun had long dipped behind the horizon, casting the city of Jerusalem in the cool embrace of night. Bathsheba, wife of Uriah the Hittite, stood at the edge of her rooftop, her bare skin kissed by the evening breeze. She had bathed as she did every evening in the privacy of her courtyard, but tonight was different. Tonight, she did not only cleanse herself of the day's fatigue, but also prepared for the attention that would soon be drawn to her. The king, King David, had a reputation not just for his military prowess, but for his insatiable desires. It was said that his eyes roamed freely across his kingdom, scanning every inch of it, seeking beauty, seeking pleasure, seeking what was just out of reach. Bathsheba was a woman of incomparable beauty, and the king, from the comfort of his palace, noticed her. Each evening as Bathsheba bathed, the reflection of her body would catch his gaze from the royal rooftop where he spent his nights. He had been captivated. In her innocence, she had unknowingly become the object of the king's longing. Though David could have turned away, his lust clouded his judgment. He knew the boundaries between him and Bathsheba, for she was a married woman. Yet his power, the might of his kingship, fed his belief that he could claim anything, anyone, as his own. The king sent for her. When she came to his palace, it was not out of love or desire for her, but out of his need to conquer, to satisfy a hunger that could not be quelled. Bathsheba, though stunned by the encounter, was powerless in the face of the king's command. He had called for her, and she had answered. The result of their union was soon clear. Bathsheba discovered that she was pregnant. The consequences of their affair were immediate and dire. David, knowing the shame this would bring upon both of them, sought a way to conceal his sin. His solution, however, was darker than he could have imagined. He summoned Uriah, Bathsheba's husband, back from the battlefield, intending for him to sleep with his wife so that the child would be thought of as his own. But Uriah, loyal and honorable, refused to enjoy the comforts of home while his comrades were still at war. David, frustrated by Uriah's righteousness, resorted to a more drastic measure. He sent Uriah back to the front lines, carrying a letter that sealed his fate and order for Uriah's death. David believed that by removing Uriah, his sins would remain hidden, and his position as king would be secure. But he was blind to the weight of his actions, to the ripple effect they would have on his life and reign. The murder was not swift enough for David to escape unscathed. His conscience, once so clear and steadfast, began to betray him. The child Bathsheba carried did not survive, as consequence of the sin that had been conceived in secrecy. David, who had once been a man after God's own heart, was broken. The death of the child, a punishment perhaps not fully understood, left him in mourning. He had taken Bathsheba's husband's life, and in turn, his own child was taken from him. It was as if the universe itself had delivered a justice that even his kingship could not override. In the aftermath, the prophet Nathan came to David, telling him a story that mirrored his own actions, a rich man taking a poor man's only lamb, even though he had many of his own. When David, enraged by the injustice in the story, declared that the man who had committed such a crime should die, Nathan delivered the verdict, "You are that man." David's repentance was deep, but it could not undo the damage. Bathsheba's grief, too, was profound, for she had lost not only her husband but her child. The story of David and Bathsheba is not just about a king's fall from grace, but also about the destructive power of unchecked passion and the consequences of abuse of power. Bathsheba, once an innocent woman bathing on a rooftop, became a part of a larger narrative of sin, betrayal, and loss. King David, once a man beloved by God, was forever changed by his actions, his soul marked by the stain of the blood he had spilled. The child that died was more than just a victim. It was a sign that actions, once taken, cannot always be undone, and that the consequences of sin often reach beyond what the sinner could ever anticipate